Hey everyone, welcome. Grateful to have you here. Today we get to. Oh, I've been wanting to do this topic for so long, but it's really about it's about music and art and the creativeness that it brings into our lives and how we can tap into that creative genius that we all have and what that does for us in terms of healing us in the most profound ways. And so today we get to dive into all that with Susan, and I'm really excited for you to meet her. Before we do, let me just introduce myself in the show a little bit. My name is Cheryl Bassett, and I'm founder of Unstoppable Connections, international bestseller, and creator of the award-winning Unstoppable Family Meeting Toolkit. I'm also the host of this show, Kitchen Table Conversations, as part of the Edge Network and the Global One Network. Now, families do get to tap into my 4 gifts, which is really an unfolding of my own family's journey and how those 4 gifts create an unshakable, unbreakable foundation. If you would like to learn more about the 4 gifts and my work for connecting families, you can go to unstoppableconnections.com. And if you have an idea for this show or you would like to be on the show, you can reach out to me at kitchentableconversations.com. Now, real quick before we bring Susan on and you get to meet her, I want to take a moment to sort of set an intention. And I do this for every show because I feel like it's just so powerful. The show really is designed to cover the fun stuff, the tough stuff, and everything in between. Today, I feel like we're in that fun space of what we get to share for families to connect around. But all of it is designed to ignite those conversations, to strengthen your family, and to create a positive ripple out into the world. So what we do is we tap into the 4th gift that I mentioned earlier, one of the gifts, the gift of love. And we unwrap the gift of love by choosing to celebrate ourselves and others. It's with that intent, that heart, that we come to this show to celebrate the person who came today to share with us. And if everything doesn't resonate with you, that's okay. We're going to dig into some areas that are going to be really cool. But I think just like open up your heart and take in some new information because I think you're going to love it. So let me introduce Susan before I bring her on. Susan Smith Cohen is a teacher, author, artist, composer, and musician. Love all that. She has recently published a book called Healing Through Nature and Animals, A Journey of Illumination. She is, and that, by the way, that's another show we're going to do. She has also published a composition entitled Come Home. Prior to teaching, Susan has a career as a jazz singer before having children. She also taught for 25 years in an inner city school district as a music teacher with at-risk youth. She's developed her own music program and uses that same philosophy of individualizing her private lessons for her voice and piano. Although mostly retired now from performing, she will come out to do the occasional performance. These days, she does love writing and recording her own songs. She hopes to put out a CD in the near future, and when she does, we will let you know. Susan plans on retiring from teaching in the public school system this year. She is eager to continue and create and explore healing through the arts. Overall, she is most grateful, as we all should be in gratefulness, for our family, animals, and her many gifts and talents. She believes love is the operative word and action for healing. So with that, let me bring on Susan.
Hello.
Welcome. It's great to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, like so, and we, I love some of the people that are coming on my show because I feel like we've just sort of connected recently, but there's just like this really great connection. And your topic was one that I was really looking for. So I'm really glad that we connected and you get to kind of shine some light on this, on music and art and how we tap into some of that. So, but first let's start off. Tell me why you do what you do and how you got there.
Well, without giving you year by year blow, I believe I was born into this world to create. My mom, if she were here, would tell you that I would be missing for hours because I would be somewhere working on a project. And I used to sit in the yard weaving leaves to make jewelry. That's just always been who my inner core is. And performing was really what I thought my love was. And so I gave that a chance for those 10 years and didn't like living out of suitcase, which is what you have to do if you're traveling the country. And so I went and got my credentials to teach music, and I really enjoyed it. But I see a lot of pain in my students, and I myself dealt with some trauma in my childhood. So I could identify with that, but the music curriculum was dry, and I felt that they needed something that would really speak to them. And so I deviated a little bit from the curriculum, and we explored lots of different types of genres that they can relate to, which led me into my private lessons where I individualize everything. And I just really feel that adults and children of all ages benefit from the art of creating. And I think that everyone is capable of expressing themselves, therefore creating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I think when we tap into that, there's like so many benefits that we get, right? Yeah. So that's one of the things. So tell me, because then I'll be envious of every single one that you do, but like, you're a musician, so you play instruments. What instruments do you play?
Well, you'll be disappointed. I only play piano and I sing. When I was, at the age where they offered band, I was already out of school. That wasn't an option for me. So I studied piano privately. And I don't think, we're talking back in the 60s, 70s, I did not have the option to play band or orchestra.
Gotcha.
I think I was at a private school. That's why. That explains that.
I have to think back. Yeah.
Way back then. But anyway, the piano is it's a wonderful instrument. And I started playing when I was 5 years old.
Well, I'm not disappointed, because that's probably the one, like, I don't play any instruments. We do 100% more than I do. And I've always said, and we were just talking about this, by the way, before the show, she said, it's never too late, right? And
absolutely, I believe that.
Yeah, so my grandmother, and I mentioned this to you too, was one of these that she could hear a song and just play it. And then I'll never forget, she played at the skating rink, and I wanted her to play Donny Osmond's Puppy Love. And so I got the little, record and played it for her. And literally she heard it one time and then played it. And it sounds like you have that same.
Yes.
Same.
My father was that kind of a musician. He was brilliant. You could hear an entire symphony, and he could emulate that on the piano. I can hear a melody and come up with chords for it. But I mean, he had a gift that was remarkable.
Yeah, that's amazing. So anyway, I just dated myself, Donny Osmond, Puppy Love. Anyway, but yeah. So but obviously, it's a beautiful thing, and I feel like I could learn the guitar. So anyway,
absolutely.
Because I'm saying it now on live on my show that maybe I'm gonna go pick up the guitar. I shouldn't say maybe. I'm gonna go pick up the guitar and learn how to play guitar. So then I'll come on and sing, and then you'll quit watching my show. Anyway. Actually, my singing's not that bad. But so let's talk a little bit about, okay, so is there more in terms of like your education that you wanted to talk about?
Well, I started with a Juilliard scholarship, but I didn't enjoy the competitive edge to what Juilliard was all about. And I had started in opera, and I just didn't have the nature to compete like that. It was very competitive. So I went to a SUNY system school, dropped out, and went to the Berklee School of Music, where I really got to perform, and jazz ended up being my genre. And I loved, and I still do, I'm a torch singer. So yeah, that's what I ended up doing. And I did end up obviously getting my credentials and my master's to go into the field of teaching.
Gotcha. Okay. So right now you have students that you teach, and are they all in home, or are you doing online at this point?
I teach online, my individual students, and I'm still at the school system teaching virtually, but I'll be retiring soon.
Yeah, so
I want to go. Yeah, I want to go full time into the art of creating.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay, so let's dig into that a little bit, because I know one of the things you had written down was for us to talk about how parents and kids alike can actually tap into that creative, whether it's artistic, musical, and then obviously let's talk about some of the benefits of that. So let's first talk about what they can do to start tapping into that.
Well, if you think about it, everyone has an inner child. And that inner child needs to come out to play. And I think that it's all about being able to express yourself. It's communication. And if you are shy, it's a beautiful way to come out of your shell, whether it's in the arts of drawing or molding clay or writing, anything at all that's expressive. And for me, singing was what, and the piano, writing melodies that really, because by nature, I tend to be a shy person. And that really helped me get out of my shell and get out of my own way. And I think it still is a useful tool, if you will, for anyone out there.
Right. I agree. And I think it is a way to express, but also, I mean, I guess I'm just thinking, okay, so neither one of my kids actually had, like, I love to sing, and I used to sing. Neither one of them actually followed in that, but then of course they went more like they played football and sports. Not that there's anything wrong with any of that, but I'm just saying, like, I didn't, but I didn't really investigate it either. And I'm wondering, like, if I were to go back, if I would say, well, let's just take some guitar lessons or some piano lessons or something, just to see. I mean, is that just something like, is there a good time frame to, like, because I'm thinking you can't just do it for 30 days. It has to be a little bit.
It's an excellent question. I mean, we were talking prior to the show how you started the organ and it wasn't to your liking at the time and you have regrets. I hear that a lot. I think that it's super important to get to know your student, find out what revs their engine, and teach to that. And that's what I do with my kids. Not everyone loves classical music. Not everyone, wants to learn the basic fundamentals right away. I edge that in later when they're more mature, if they're resistant to it. I think it's important overall, but not initially if I can't reach them.
Right. The goal is to get them to fall in love.
Right.
With the
It's
process.
about tapping into their passion, whatever that is. If they're not engaged with the instrument, then clearly the instrument or music isn't for them, but maybe artists. And if it's not art, there's nothing wrong with playing sports, but I think it's worth investigating which form of communication may be to their liking.
Mm-hmm.
I think it makes them better humans to just be able to find a decent way to express themselves.
Yeah, I know for me, as I've gotten, like, of course, it's after kids, because during kids, I feel like when they were younger, like, I didn't feel like I had time to explore as many things. Right now I can. So I have a lot more animals, just saying. And I also got into resin, working with resin, and do some
that too.
Yeah, some really beautiful things with resin. And it's very, I don't know, it's very meditative, very cathartic for me in terms of when I get into those spaces of doing that. And in fact, I'll even share here. Like, this is one of the resin pieces I did. And this was actually, but it's and then on the bottoms, I always make pretty designs, and it's kind of
very nice.
And I put hearts. So, but I make gifts and whatever, but it's just a time for me to sort of escape.
But it is a meditative process. I mean, the same frame of mind that you get into for your resin is just like I meditate. And I find that if I don't have the time to meditate, then I have to make the time to do something creative, or I'm antsy. So it does pull you and ground you where you need to be, for sure.
Yeah. And some people laugh at me because, like, just like walls need painted, and some people I know don't love to paint at all, like walls. And I know it's not like overly creative, but for me, it's so cathartic in terms of just getting into that space, and it's very meditative, and I get to see a finished thing, So anyway, I'm not like, don't ask me to draw. I draw bad stick people, right? So.
Let me just stop you right there. People make the mistake of thinking they have to have a skill set to enjoy or try what you're talking about. Art is subjective, I mean, your art may appeal to someone and not appeal to someone else, and vice versa, but I think that if you think it's a skill set, it gets in your way of trying. You may become really good at drawing figures, but you've already told yourself that you draw stick figures. So
well, my second grade teacher, third grade teacher told me I was really bad at drawing them, so I quit.
shame on them. Shame on them.
uh, but I looked at it and agreed at the time that it wasn't very good. So but yeah. But as a kid, so that does tell you how.
There's your inner child.
Mm-hmm.
Needs to be fulfilled. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's beautiful. So that's a very, like, that right there, parents, seriously, like, allow your kids to just explore, try different things, because you never know, like, what skill set that doesn't even get discovered because they just didn't actually try, because they've already maybe predetermined, or they didn't know they would love it.
Exactly. It might even be architecture that they love because they love to do the linear drawings. It could be anything, but they need to tap into lots of different things to find out who they are.
Love it. So let's get into, and this is a topic you and I talked about. We're going to throw it into this because I feel like it's just so fascinating. And for some people who maybe haven't gone down this pathway before, just understanding sort of the healing benefits of music, the vibration of it, the frequencies of it. Just, I don't know where we start with that, but just like give us a little bit about where you think there's a good starting point for people to understand that.
Well, if you're open to the idea of finding a center point and just being and calming yourself and relaxing and subscribing to the notion that love is the center of doing all of that, then one way to do that is by listening to music that's at a higher frequency. When I meditate, I find music online that's in the alpha state. And that's where you can get rid of what the ego feels and lose the preconceived behaviors that you got from however your experiences played out, and tap into the real you, and tap into, what your gifts are, what your intuition wants you to do. That's where that frequency really elevates your purpose, in my opinion.
Right.
And science has proven that.
Yeah. I mean, we are energy.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it makes sense.
Well, vibration.
Yeah, and it's the vibration and the energy of that. Even words have impact and energy to them. What I always forget the name of it, but what was the Oshimoto, or where they did the crystallization of putting words? I don't know if you've ever seen that or not.
Oh, in water?
Yeah, they put it on water, but we're almost all water. We're energy, we're water, and they put words on it. And if it was a word of love, it created in the water beautiful crystalline patterns. And then when they put words that weren't as nice, we won't even say it.
Talking to plants does the same thing.
Yeah. So they would create this almost like very negative, ugly types of patterns with really, like, even the colors would change. And it's the most fast. I'll have to find it and put it out on the afterwards, or if somebody knows it and they listen to it, put it out there. But I think it's like Oshimoto, but it's fascinating, right? And so that, to me, like, that was like such an aha of how we are energy, we are vibration, and then the healing of that. And I know even in just playing music in, like, nursing homes now, they do so much of that.
I've sung at some funerals where it was difficult for me because I'm I call myself an empath. I feel everything. And but the funeral homeowners would ask if I would stay on their payroll and pay me to sing. And I personally turned it down because it was too agonizing for me. But sometimes I think, well, maybe that was the wrong thing to do because it made people feel better.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what music does, especially when you can get those pure intonations going. Those pure intonations is where you get that really high frequency of vibrations.
Yeah. And one of the things we talked about too, so because we were looking some of this stuff up, but there is a what they call the God frequency. There's one which you've already mentioned, the alpha frequency. And so for those of you who do appreciate meditation, and if you don't, you should, but if you're not doing it yet, you should try it. But you can just look up, that's the beautiful world we live on online, but the alpha frequency you can find on online, and type that in. And then when you're doing your meditations, you can tap into some of that. That's what you said you use. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And then the frequency of love is out there in terms of, so you can actually find, somebody had put up Helene, who I adore her. She watches the shows a lot, and she always puts up some cool stuff. But she had, I love to listen to Beethoven.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to believe there's some good energy in that piece.
The studies have proven that music of that genre, classical, increases kids' intelligence. I mean, and they use it for infants now, just to help, manifest those increased brain activity. I think it's useful for all age groups. And Beethoven is a personal favorite of mine also.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm actually, now you say that, I do know some people, like when they were pregnant, they were listening to classical music, yes, because it was actually shown to be beneficial to the child. And then like you said, even as they're younger. So I think all of that is just absolutely fascinating, and something to just think about, like, what is, I mean, I'm always a big fan of turn off the TV and put on some music, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Because I think we can all agree there's not a lot of great frequency, positive frequency coming off the TV.
Especially no.
So that might be just a word of just think about it, because I think sometimes we tend to just do what we do and we don't think about it. And there really are these beautiful, and if you just type in what you're looking for, you can find all these beautiful frequencies.
Absolutely. Yeah.
For raising your mood, for raising your energy, for meditation, for whatever. So
anxiety, anything. Yeah.
Dieting. Okay. Didn't know that one.
I have a Facebook group, it's a plug, but not really.
No, go for it.
It's called Comfort Zone for Anxiety. You don't need to have anxiety, but it's about finding those levels of frequencies that you're talking about to help overcome that feeling, especially now during this pandemic. I think you'd have to not be human to feel a little bit of, anxiety, because it's nothing's been determined yet. Everything is still up in the air.
Yeah.
So this is a great time to really pursue meditation and music and all the things that could, raise your endorphins and lower your serotonin.
So they could find that Comfort Zone for Anxiety on
your cortisol, not your serotonin. Sorry. Yes.
No, that's all right. Oh yes, exactly. I was typing. So, but yes. So Comfort Zone for Anxiety is the name of the group, and it's on Facebook. So you can, if people are interested in, and it sounds like you're putting out some of the things we're talking about now, you're actually sharing out there. So if you want to continue into this conversation, that'll be great place to kind of get some of that content. All right. So the inner child needs to come out to play. And I'm forever saying, like, we, as kids, especially between the ages of 0 and 7, it's like, that's when they get so many of their core beliefs built in. And I do have that conversation a lot, but we also just, we tend to, as parents, and I get why we do sometimes, but we tend to put the box and the lid, and then the kids then spend the rest of their lives fighting for those limitations. And so how do we, so really what you're saying is, how do we get that inner child to take off that lid, get rid of that box?
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. I think that you'll find so many adults that will talk with regret that they didn't try an instrument or stay with an instrument. And I want them to know that it's never too late. For whatever reason, you may have been turned off, but the interest is there. Go for it.
I think for me, it wasn't so much that I was turned off. I think that it was my grandmother. It was too easy. Like I wasn't like a real student of hers. You know what I'm saying? Like I was, but
yes,
but
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. So I feel like I didn't do it justice, and she probably didn't crack down on me the way she was to a different student, in terms of teaching too, because
right.
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, so it is a little bit of a regret. So I think I feel like the guitar was something I could pick up and do. So
anyway. Yep. Yeah. Google lessons on you can pick up the chords very easily online.
Yeah. Very, very nice. Okay, perfect. So we're going to encourage kids and parents to pick out something they might enjoy doing, whether it's painting or creating or drawing or playing music or singing or writing, because I used to like to write lyrics to songs too. And
hand them over to me. I'll put music to it.
Okay, there you go. Because I do that all the time and actually have some. And I do write poems. And every Christmas, I do a Christmas poem, and my kids roll their eyes, and I'm like, that's okay. You know, go ahead and roll your eyes. You're going to get to it. And someday you're going to look back and go, God, I remember when Mom used to read those ridiculous poems at Christmas. Yeah. So.
Lovely. It's a nice tradition.
Yeah, it is. It's actually a nice tradition. And then we're going to, obviously, people that want to do meditation or find these different frequencies that they can tap into, just some people that might be joining us late, I just want to kind of like cover back over some of the stuff we're talking about.
And if anyone wants to do private lessons in art or music or voice, you can everything's virtual now. So
everything's virtual. I was thinking that because it doesn't really matter where you are. In fact, how do they, if they want that, how do they reach out to you?
I'll give you my personal email, because that's where people reach me. It's Jazz Diva, Jazz Diva, DIVA 2269 @gmail.com. I also have a website that's, by the way, up and working again, called yourinnerartistwithsue.com.
Okay, so I'm gonna put up your Gmail here. So, and no matter when you're seeing this video, whether it's now in the moment, live, or later, but here we go with so I'm gonna make sure I got it right. JazzDiva2269
@gmail.com.
There you go. So if you're interested in kind of digging into some of your creativity, then you can connect with this.
Holler.
Yeah, connect with Susan. So anyway, love that. Are there any other, well, we've kind of talked a lot about why you can go online and find so much stuff. Are there any other books or anything that you recommend that people could tap into?
Well, I'm a very spiritual person, and I read a lot of Eckhart Tolle, Wayne Dyer. There's a lot of wonderful, inspirational writers out there that subscribe basically to the same thing. And, it's about staying mindful and staying positive and, increasing and elevating your vibrational state of mind. And that's why I believe love is the core focus for everything that you do in life. You got to stay with that.
One of the things I loved about today was I had on Erin for a show right before you, Erin Lawler, and she was talking about the love and goodness and kindness and spreading the kindness. And now we're talking about this vibration of love here. But one thing she said, and I know you actually had this in your notes as well, but love is a word. It's an energy. It's also an action.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Yes. And I think we all need to embrace that action and that word in a genuine way.
And I feel like, given the times that we're in of uncertainty around so many areas, not, like you just let me count the ways, how many uncertain things there are right now.
This is how we connect, right? Through love. It's an interconnectedness. If we all stay in that mindset of love, I think that this universe will become a better place ultimately. And that's what's shifting right now through this terrible pandemic.
Yeah. And there's it is shifting, and I think the transition sometimes is hard, and so that's where we are. But I think it's, as soon as people get to realize it for the beauty that actually is lying within it, even though I'm not saying it's all good, don't want anybody getting upset, because I understand that it's not like, it's a tough time, but there's also, out of it, we get to choose how we ultimately respond, and if we choose love, then we get to win. So
choose love.
Choose love. So, all right. Thank you so much. So we close out every show with a drop of thought. And it's kind of like a little pearl of wisdom. So if you were going to leave a parting thought for the audience, what would you want that to be?
Meaningful sustainments. Find something you love and stay with it.
I love that. Meaningful sustainments. That's a nice way of putting it. So that's a beautiful dot. And then I share my dot. Mine's the same because it's really the heartbeat of who I am. But, ripples don't flow in, they flow out. And if we really want to see change out in the world, then it's going to start with us in our own homes, with our own families first. So today, Susan, thank you for being a beautiful part of the ripple that we get to share with families. So everyone, thank you. Until next time, Thank you for being here and engaging. And shout out to Helene, who watches most of my shows. Thank you. And anyway, we'll and you're coming back on, by the way, because we're going to talk about your book.
Oh, beautiful. Excellent.
Yeah, we're going to do that because I'm fascinated by that too. So that'll be the next one. Take care.
Thank you.